So I just wanted to talk a little bit about another aspect of fundamentals of processing Scion. We've been doing this for a few years now, and you pick up a few tricks along the way. It's one of the reasons why although we're 100% volunteer effort, we actually bring an extraordinary degree of ecological sophistication to what we're doing. You know, we're talking about targeting a highly selected array of cultivars that we've identified through the years as holding promise, as being the varieties that are likely to be the mainstay food cultivars for us in the decades ahead. And then not only identifying them, but then going out and collecting them, developing the personal relationships that allow us to do that, and then gathering the material and then bringing it back and processing it and storing it and cataloging it and then distributing it, all in a way that keeps this material healthy and importantly tracked and are well identified. So for example, here oftentimes when we harvest like without processing in the field, so that we can harvest a lot pretty quickly, and then we bring it back and then we start to cut it up into bunches that we can store easily and move easily and so on and so forth. And this is just a sort of a classic example of how I do it. We cut it into a particular length. There are a number of reasons we do it, one of which is that we want to be able to store it in the plastic bags that we use. So for example, I can decide to cut this into the proper length. Some people put a couple of pieces of tape down to determine the length of the material they want to cut. I'm getting pretty good at determining the length I want at this juncture. I tuck it under my arm, cut it like this, pull it in, and so on and so forth. And I can move through a fair amount of stuff pretty quickly. And then wrapping, we've got a technique we use. We don't so much wrap a rubber band around a whole bunch like that and then do it the way people typically do. What we do is we throw the rubber band just round one piece of Scion like that, then wrap it round the bunch and then tuck it in. This was a technique taught to us by the people at the Home Orchard Society in Portland, who've been doing it for decades, this sort of work. And then when we want to unwrap the Scion, we don't have to fight with the rubber band, we just pull it off the one piece and everything comes apart very easily. So that's an important technique that we use. And then what I'll do is just sort of tidy it up. We like to have things nice and flat so they don't puncture the bags that we put them into. And labeling is pretty crucial, absolutely crucial in terms of the work we do. You find a lot of the people involved in this work spend a lot of time talking to one another about what types of pens they use. You want a Sharpie, it does the job. You can go to the store and find out all sorts of Sharpies called extreme this and waterproof that. But typically what we find is that very often they don't actually make the grade. A Sharpie will do. The rubber dub, which has the white body, is the best of all, but you're basically your plain Sharpie, your permanent marker is good. And then in terms of tape, all the pros prefer this stuff, this blue 3M stuff. I don't know if I've got one in my pocket. Like that. This is the stuff. It does the trick better than anything else we find, better than the white stuff, better than anything. And some of the white tape will lose the ink, surprisingly, when it's moist. And so we'll write in nice big letters, legible, like that. And then round it'll go on the Scion. We don't put it at the very top because it has a tendency maybe to slide off. Put it a little bit down. We want it towards the top of the Scion though, because very often when we're moving this Scion into little sorting areas, it's nice to have them, if we're putting it in a little bucket, it's nice to have it sticking up so that you can see it. And then what we'll do is move it into a bag like this, in it'll go. And this is a 2-gallon bag Can you see First Street? We have experimented with bags up the yazoo, and we find that this size, this 2 gallon from this particular vendor, has the right thickness that works for us and a good Ziploc seal. It tends not to get punctured too easily, and it's big enough to allow us to store a bunch of stuff in, and yet small enough for us to be able to work with in fridges and so on and so forth. Okay, I think that's about it for now.